Hello, I'm Richard with EV4U Custom Conversions, and welcome to another episode featuring this 1991 Volkswagen double cab transporter. In this episode we'll be installing the batteries amongst other things, and so we're going to show you how that goes together and a few of the idiosyncrasies involved in the process. And so we hope you'll join us, and so let's get to it. Well, before we install the batteries in the vehicle, I thought we'd give you a quick little overview of the bottom balancing procedure that we use in preparing these batteries for use and installation. We use the Cell Pro Power Lab 8, and we basically do it in three phases. These cells were all 3.34 volts out of the box, and using the Cell Pro we drop them down, we program it to take it down to 2.5 volts. And that's our initial round. That's the round that takes the most time. We're discharging these at 30 amps, and for more information regarding that you can see our previous video. At the end of that, once they've had time to rest, after this is taking it down to 2.5 volts, the Cell Pro Power Lab shuts off. We then swap it to the next cell, and these are allowed to rest overnight, and they bounce up from that 2.5 volts that they were taken down to at the 30 amp rate, and most of them bounce back to 2.88 volts. Some variance in there, 2.89, 2.87, but most of them, the average is 2.88 volts. So then we do a third round, or a second round I should say, and we reprogram the Cell Pro Power Lab to take it down to 2.65 volts. And when we do that, that goes rather quickly, doesn't take very long, and again they're allowed to rest, and they were typically coming in at 2.8, 2.79 volts. So the third and final round, we reprogram the Power Lab to take it down to 2.7 volts. And that just takes a matter of minutes for the third round. And these are all coming out at 2.76 volts, which is, our target really is like 2.75. 2.76 is perfect. We typically, depending on the cells, we're usually hitting the 2.75 to 2.77, and that's good enough for us. These are all coming in real tight, 2.76, 2.77. By far the majority of them are 2.76 volts. So once that's done with all 38 cells on this particular project, we will start installing them. And so that's what we're going to show you next. We still have these 6 to go for the one side rack, and so we're going to show you the installation of these and how we are going to set them up as far as orientation in the battery racks themselves. So we'll take a look at that next. Well, as we've talked about before, we bottom balanced our cells. They're all at 2.76 volts, and so now we're installing them in the vehicle. And what we do before we install in the vehicle, let me show you what we're using. First off, we're using these copper straps. They're a braided strap, and they're zinc plated, and that's what is our interconnect between our cells. This allows for flex and so forth, and offers great conductivity. Then to hold those in place, we're using a bolt with a Nordlock washer. And these work very well for accommodating the expansion due to the temperatures that we see with the battery pack. In other words, this will heat and cool due to current flow. And so we need to have something that's going to lock in place and not allow this connection to loosen up. If the connection loosens up, then we have resistance. Resistance equals heat, and heat is not our friend. So anyway, this is kind of a tried and true method, and what is pretty much par at EV4U. We are going to also clean off these terminals prior to installation, and we do that with just a sanding block, and we just do a circular action on here. Just takes a moment to clean off the surface oxidation prior to making the interconnect. So let's show you these things going in the vehicle. So here's the battery rack. This is the driver's side of the vehicle, and it's our shortest side. We're running 38 cells, so that's 2 rows of 19. So they're not equal packs. This is the smaller side. This has 2 rows of 9. The other side has 2 rows of 10. So what we've got in the back here, this is our most positive point in the pack, and this runs to our fuses that we showed you in a previous video, mounted up above, and from the fuse goes back to our main disconnect, the emergency and well, not emergency, but our service disconnect. We've covered this double-aught cable with heater hose, and that is going to give us some extra protection. This shouldn't go in and out too many times, but as this goes in and out, this is going to move across things, and it just cuts down on any scuffing of our insulation. Even though this welding cable that we use, I mean, they drag it around on the decks of ships and around shops. It's very durable. But there's times we like overkill. So you can see the 9 cells here. You can see our braided interconnects with the Nordlock washers. And we basically plotted out ahead of time the orientation of the cells so that we would have this looped the way we wanted it as far as our cabling goes. And also when we get to this end, we want this to be next to each other. So we have to have a positive next to this one. And we load it from here forward. So it had to go from the inside out. So it had to be plotted out ahead of time. So we'll stick these last 2 in. And there we have it. So we now have the negative and positive next to one another. And what we're going to do is this would go here from negative to positive, and this will go here from negative to positive, which I will connect. You got to be careful with these. You don't want to have these swing around and short anything out. These cells have a huge potential and they can make a real mess. So in doing this, use the appropriate caution. And in regards to that, we'll show you something else we've done here in just a moment. But anyway, we then torque these down. This is a non-conductive ratchet. We don't want to take any chances on making an electrical connection. Fireworks are reserved for the 4th of July around here. So anyway, we will continue to connect our interconnects and then attach our cable. So this, like I mentioned, this is our most positive point in the pack, and described where that goes. The next cable, the other end of this loop here, is goes to a cable which goes to a fuse, which is in the middle of our pack, which goes to another cable which will connect to the pack on the passenger side. And we'll go through that pack and it will go to the most negative point in our traction pack. But on both sides we're going to leave this link out temporarily. That allows us to work on this and not have a complete circuit. It's just, you know, it's not absolutely necessary or anything. It's just one of those things we do. We always leave out a link in the center just as an additional safety measure. We're also on this going to have insulation over the top of this so that this cannot fall down accidentally and short out our pack. This is not something you're going to get into very often, but on that occasion when you're inspecting your cells and checking the torque on the interconnects, we don't want to have a chance for an accident. And so, along that regard, let me show you what we've done here. So in addition to this being held up by its normal support, we've added this tie right here, which goes to a tie down inside the bed. So we have this double support. This is not going to accidentally come down and short it out against our batteries. We don't want any accidents. And so everything is done for a reason, and safety is the number one reason for doing things around here. So we're going to continue to install the interconnects on this side, and then we'll slide this in. This slides so easy now. It actually slides easier with the weight in it than they did when they were empty. So very nice. These slides are designed to carry 275 pounds. I'm sorry, I forget what they were now that I'm thinking about it. I think they're 350 pounds per pair. That's what it was. 350 pounds per pair. And that would give us a total of 750 pounds worth the capacity on a 450 or 475 pound pack. I forget what the total weight on this one is. This is 38 of the Calb 180 cells. They're about 12.5 pounds a piece. So you can calculate that out. But the total pack weight is under 500 pounds, and our glides can handle more than that. So we have margin there, not a problem. So we'll continue to work on this. We will show you the what it looks like when it's done, and then we'll slide it into its new home. Well, here we are installing our insulated pieces. These are a product that we get from EVTV. Jack Rickard with EVTV invented these things. I believe he calls them cell booties. You can get them in I forget what length they come in now. I've cut this to just fit this certain area because this is going to be back in this treasure chest. There's nothing that's going to be shortened against it. Our concern is this door right here. If this door were to come down, we don't want it to short. So we're out beyond the door, so everything in here is not at risk. Actually, just this area would be contacted first, but we're covering all 4 strips at this point. So this is all the way out, so this would go in, so it's only going to make contact from about this point outward, and we've got that covered. And so these are designed to fit over these interconnects, these braided interconnects, and these bolts and washers. Stays in place by itself, but we would take a zip tie and go around our interconnect and just snug them up. These also kind of act as little indicators. If you have a terminal that gets too hot, you'll actually have a zip tie melt and let go. And that would say, hey, I think we've got a loose connection there. Time to investigate. So there you have it. So now if that door were to accidentally come down, it's going to land against our insulated covers, and we're not going to have any fireworks or anything to worry about. So again, this is all completed with the exception of this one interconnect right here, which the way this is designed, we're able to get in there and put that on, and it's ready to go. So let's slide it back into place. Okay. We're now going to roll this back into its cubby hole. I'm watching the wires as they go, and it looks like we've got a little problem here. We're rubbing here with our cell booty against this gusset. So we're going to have to look into that and see what we want to do to take care of that. We may notch the gusset a little bit because this is going to go all the way past that. So let's take a look at what we can do there to deal with that issue. Well, there it is, in place. You can see we have clearance all the way around. There's down the front side. Of course, the back side we have plenty of room. That's where our charger is. A few other components. And on the top we have a couple inches. And so we slid over our booty to get the battery pack back in there, because without it in there, you know, it would be hard to notch this and not short a tool out against our battery pack. But like I mentioned, this goes in, quite a ways. That's all the way into stop. And so we've got lots of clearance there, and we can then take this and notch it, clean it up. And that then will give us the clearance for sliding this in and out in the future. Easy fix. We'll take care of that first thing, and then we'll move on to doing the passenger side. This was the driver's side. The vehicle isn't looking too bad with the weight. Let's take a look at it. Well, there's a transporter with the batteries just on one side. Doesn't look like it's leaning at all, really. Take a look from the back here. No? Looks pretty good to me. So once we put the batteries on the passenger side, she'll be good. Doesn't look like it's sitting down, in the back or anything, because our weight it's not centered. And these things always sit a little high on the front end, a little low on the ass end, but this is looking really good. Real nice profile thus far. Like I said, we've got another 20 cells to put in. We've got 18 in place. We have 20 to add still, which is what we'll do shortly. Coming along nicely. This has been a fun project. Always hate to see them end. We like doing things that are different. You get kind of burned out doing Volkswagens and Porsches all the time. So doing something that's a little different, it's always fun. We've done the buses, but this is a newer one. And so it's been quite an experience in using a motor that we haven't used before. This is the first time we've used the AC75. So very curious to see how it performs. In a future project, we will be using an AC 35x2 in a Miata. So we're going to take a 2400 pound car and give it 180 foot-pounds of torque out to 5,000 RPMs, or 189 foot-pounds, something like that. It should be a good combination, that motor with that vehicle. Stay with us. Well, here we go. This will be the last installment on our power steering. The power steering is installed and complete, and I'm going to go turn on the key. When I turn on the key, it will, as soon as the ignition comes on, it turns on, or gives power to the relay that turns on the power steering motor, which runs off our pack voltage, as well as it will turn on the fans for the controller cooling and the pump, and the vacuum pump for the brakes and so forth. The rest of that, well, the power brakes are already up to snuff, but everything else, I have the fuses removed from the others and stuff. So all we're going to hear is, we won't hear any fan noise or anything. All we're going to hear is the motor from the power steering. And so let me turn on the key, turn on the ignition. that's it. Not too obnoxious. And of course, when the compartment's closed and everything, you won't hear very much. Let's go see how it works. Here we are in the cab. We can see that the power steering pulls 0.9 amps right now. We're going to turn the wheel here. Let's see if I can hold the camera so it'll show. Boy, I got up to 5.1 amps hitting the lock. Not too bad. Straighten the wheels back out. And then of course we have this switch in the dash right here, which allows us to override the pump. So we can take it completely out. And then of course I can still turn the wheels, but considerably more effort. Not much effort at all with power steering. So that's the power steering. We have the batteries all installed now, and we're charging those, and so we'll get back to you. Well, it's basically complete. We have a few labels to do, a few little safety guards to put in place, but just basically a few little details like that. The vehicle has been on the road now. We've put about 100 miles on it, and everything is working as it should. It's back in the shop being charged at the moment, but I took it for a good little loop today. And in our next video, we'll take you along for a ride in the transporter. I've got to say, this thing runs like $1 million. It just really exceeds our expectations. This is the first time we've used this AC75 motor from High Performance Electric Vehicle Systems, and it works real well. Has a real good torque out to about 3,000 RPMs. It'll put you back in the seat in second gear. It pulls strong in third and fourth even. It's just very impressive. And so in our next video, we'll take you for a ride, and we'll do one last overview of this conversion. So we haven't put the tailgate back on yet. We've got the deck lid back in place. Have the hatch cover removed so that you can see what we've got. So we've brought you along through this series of videos showing you what we've done. We replaced the circuit breaker with the on-off switch here, the service switch. The service breaker was being used just as a disconnect, and we had ordered a bunch of these and we're waiting for them to come in, so we had used the circuit breaker just in the interim. So basically, like I said, except for some labeling that we put in to warn people of the potential hazards, she's complete. Here's the driver's side battery rack. This is the side with the pulls on and ratchets and so forth. The other side is just the hooks, you'll see. But what we've got going on here is there's two pairs of straps. The yellow ones go over the top of the cells and hold the cells basically in place vertically. And then we've got these blue ones which ratchet that go from right here from the basically our bracket, our mounting bracket, all the way to the other side, and attaches like this one is on this side to that strap, and then the one on the other side, you know, the other end of this one attaches to the bracket. So basically the yellow straps secure the batteries by themselves. In other words, the racks are being pulled together. These slide out, you know, from the center from one another. They're pulled together, which locks them in place. So even with just the yellow straps, these batteries aren't going to move anywhere. We added the blue ones just as an additional measure so that these things are, I mean, it's solid. It's like they're welded in place. They're not going anywhere. We've done some hard cornering and so forth. Not a single movement at all. And yet very easy to detach and slide these things out for inspection. So that's the batteries. The interior hasn't changed. We've got the gauges we've showed you before. You can see we went for a little bit of a ride. We used we used about 73 amp hours and traveled 25 miles on the freeway, and then not quite that much in town driving, but quite a few miles in town also. This thing is getting it's using less watt hours per mile than anticipated, but we haven't weighed the vehicle yet, but I think we've come in under our anticipated weight is part of the explanation there. The other is that it's just a really efficient setup. This vehicle rolls easy for the size and weight. It has pretty low rolling resistance. What it doesn't have is a low coefficient of drag. Yesterday I was coming back to the shop and running uphill and pushing a good headwind, and it was taking pretty good throttle to do that, but I was able to maintain 65 to 70 miles an hour no problem, just using more throttle than normally. We took care of the grill section here. This was all open, if you'll remember. This is where the fresh air intake is, just from my hand up, top two louvers there, or sections. And the rest of that and all of this was for the radiator intake. And we put a piece of, actually two pieces of ABS behind those two openings, so that's now covered. It looks nice. It's all blacked out, and that will give us a little better aerodynamics. It's acting as extra insulation between the body and our heating reservoir, as we showed you in a previous video, and it also keeps cold air from running into that portion of the vehicle. The heater's been tested, works very well. All systems have been tested at this point. It's just a matter of putting a few miles on the thing. We'll increase our distances, with our normal loop being a 45-mile loop on the freeway, and that's yet to be done in this vehicle. So all systems are go. Everything has worked as it should, so we've been very pleased. So we'll have one more video to wrap up our series on this 1991 VW transporter, and that will be, like I said, a little more in-depth overview of the project and the components that are used and where they're located, and a drive down the freeway. It'll be about a 20-mile loop that we'll take you on. Don't like to bore you too much, but that'll be a GoPro shot. We'll mount the camera like we did when it was gasoline powered on the back window, and we'll shoot out the windshield then. And so we'll take you along for that, let you see the performance. We'll call out the speed and so forth, report on motor temperature, controller temperature, RPMs in specific gears at specific speeds. Kind of give you a feel for the vehicle and what it's doing as an electric vehicle driving down the freeway. So hope you'll stay with us and join us for the conclusion. Thanks for watching.